So today our objective is going to be three things. How can we're going to here to figure out how can we make owning equity easier for millennials or easier for people in general, especially like in third world countries and whatnot. But just keep that in mind. And what are two problems that productivism can solve for the shared economy? And what are the pros/cons of productivism? And then wrap it all up. What did we take away from this today? So this is going to be our guide to help us stay focused on each objective. What is productivism? It's pretty much a new way for wealth inheritance. We are trying to introduce a new way of ownership and assets in the modern day age. For those of you who know, you got Airbnb, you have Fiverr, actually, you got Upwork, you have Uber, Lyft, you have all these new platforms that are creating a shared economy type of way. Productivism is a way to close that huge wealth gap. It's to eliminate only the few having all the wealth, all the capital, and try to evenly distribute it out. Not evenly, but give those who didn't have the opportunity to build capital, build wealth, a better opportunity now. How can we make owning equity easier? Though we can focus on some of the issues right now. We can focus on the problems first and then come with solutions. So why some of you don't own equity anything? That could be a question.
Yeah. I'm a foreigner in Korea, that's hard to buy shares in.
So we say immigrants.
It also could be not knowing.
This disclaimer I can't spell. What is that?
It also could be the fact that people don't know about equity at all, ignorance.
Maybe job stability?
Yeah.
I guess many people our age, they don't stay at a job long enough because they can't stay that long.
Right. Anyone else?
Kind of goes with the ignorance, but younger generation, they don't really have the mentality, the capability to even think oh, I should be, it's not too early for me to own an equity, you know? So I think it kind of ties in with ignorance, but it's more just lack of awareness, or don't have that awareness or mentality to think early.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly.
Yeah.
Because me growing up, I hung out with older people, and they told me at a young age you should start saving and investing at a young age, but not everyone is lucky to have that type of stuff. Okay, good. We have a good starting point. So pensions was actually before 401ks, then came 401ks type of deals. And the way pensions went, I think it was similar, but it wasn't as much of a buy-in for the employee. But as economies went on, 401ks kind of replaced the pension plans. But you still put in, but it wasn't they all keep changing. For example, in the military, you join the U.S. military, you do 20 years, you get a paycheck. You get half your monthly paycheck for the rest of your life. They're moving away from that to 401ks. In the civilian sector, they're moving away from 401ks. So it's interesting to see that the government sector is sometimes behind the civilian sector in the way retirement packages go, because civilian sector is quicker to notice that we can't sustain that type of retirement for long periods of time, and the normally governments are after. So that's why in the government, they're fading out doing 20 years of service, and you get a check the rest of your life. They're getting rid of that. So you now have to invest in a 401k program where I put in money, the government puts in something. Civilian sector, with the shared economy, this type of packages are starting to fade away on the civilian side altogether. So I'm prelude to being able to see both worlds and seeing that, this is the trends. And this is what productivism, once again, is here to solve. So the fact that 401ks, you get a medical package, but we focus on 401ks because 401ks is your retirement. That's what, money is going to work for you while you're working. So when you become old, you don't work no more, you have this to invest in. And that's where we go back to how gatekeepers have these high fees to invest in stocks and whatnot. So what are some ideas of solving that problem? Deep question. I know it's funny because like this is not stuff that people think about. So like as we advance, retirement plans I see are gonna go away. So what can be done to solve that? Now with productivism, just gives the idea is that with productivism, it says you are an Uber driver or whatever, and you get into my Uber and you use my Uber. After you paid for my services, you kind of like have like an invested interest in my Uber car or whatever. The idea is the Uber driver would gift some of their earnings to the passengers of that. So that alone was the first con that I seen in it, which is, I guess we call it too much gifting. So you didn't have a chance to read up what productivism is. Productivism is pretty much a way to give people, users, a invested interest in using assets that the main owner owns. So they slowly build up equity in owning part of the assets. Now the first con I saw with that is, for example, Uber driver, just because you get in my car, I don't feel like I should gift you some of my earnings. However, but with that, I do feel if you were to help me get the capital to purchase my car or lease the car from the get-go, so say you gave me $5 that goes towards it, then okay, I see giving you a portion of that, of my car type of deal. So that was one way I seen to solve that first con, was restructure how the gifting goes. And then that also solves this problem with the gatekeepers.
I think similarly, because coming from like a more impoverished background, even though I'm from the U.S., I think we see some similarities in regards to like especially like gatekeepers. So, for example, if you want to get just a loan to go to university, they will evaluate you based on your credit.
Right.
But if you come from my parents, they didn't have credit, so they couldn't teach me about credit. And so since I didn't have credit, they would ask me for a cosigner, which would mean my parents.
Right.
But then they don't have credit, so then it's this constant chain of, well, you don't have credit, and they don't have credit, and no one else has credit.
I have no or bad credit, but I'm willing to give a total of 30% equity in my Uber business to a group of young millennial investors who has a few dollars to invest. So what tools would they use that is out of their reach compared to what the traditional gatekeepers have? What I mean by these gatekeepers are your accredited investors, your venture capitalist type of people, your angel investors, because they have resources to to look at potential investment type of, all their. So what do these people have is we have the social credit that's decentralized, that's been validated by the community to help them validate should we invest in this. Now, there's no gatekeepers because we're using blockchain to help directly connect it to. So for me, I'm willing to give 30% of my business to those who are willing to invest whatever, And of course, it's a whole bunch of other stuff into it. This is me generalizing it.
Its most likely use is not in the general market, because you already have credit, the credit industry and the banking industry, and that's very stable and that works well. This will probably work best in the black market and things that are semi-criminal. So the example you're giving is very good of the Uber guy. It's very probable that this would happen. But the investors are going to want more than just a cut. They're going to want your frickin' life if you don't come up with some goods. So yeah,
that's one thing you put down. Takeaway.
He's got no. He's completely new to it.
Credit credentials are not validated, but how are these investors supposed to put in
Trust
their-
them.
Right.
Yeah, because you've got to
Even
think.
if they do trust them, and what if he can't make profit like
Yeah.
he promised?
Yeah.
And you're saying that they were going to want his life because like they
Yeah, because
invested.
they're going to get 30% of nothing because
Right.
he's failed at the outset.
Right.
So that's a big problem. And of course, with the credit card company, they wouldn't even entertain him in the first place. He could talk his mouth off, but they weren't entertain it at all.
But I guess isn't that where the social credit aspect comes in? So it's kind of like
That's what social
people-
credit comes in. Say that. So the social credit is based off of like, say like if you've known me for a while, you say, hey, this guy, he always comes through and whatnot. That's what that's supposed to come from. Because you're right. So the old institutions, they're not gonna work down the road. Because old institutions are based off of, like we keep talking about, the old economy where my parents, they was able to get good paying jobs and whatnot. We're talking about the newer age where you have automatizations come into place that's taking away jobs, and you have like things that doesn't give the young generation the ability to build up the assets and whatever. For example, there's a lot of people who pitch startup ideas and they get a ton of funding, and those fucking startups fail.
Let's say what if I have the idea and then I don't have a background, but you guys vouch for me, so these investors invest in my idea. But what if it doesn't pan out? What if I really can't make the profit, even though like everyone trusted in me? Like then what happens?
So then we add, I guess, another check and balance in there. So what?
Well, another option is, from interest, would also do we bring in a manager that the investors would demand. We want some sort of management control. So we trust your idea, but we don't trust you. So we want a manager who we do trust to run the show. That would be another option.
Yeah, that works. I mean, that's what certain corporations do anyways. Like VCs, if the original founder is crapping on a job, they kick him out and then install their guy in there. But then, I don't know, like you have thinking. So as we see, with just trying to start a business, there's a lot of like moving parts that we can think of ways. The ideal way is to eliminate the gatekeepers who cause the high fees that makes it even difficult to even get your idea heard and seen. So with a blockchain type of system, we can now give these people a better chance of getting capital because now they can interact directly. And you're right, that's a good idea. So the investors, they can come back and say, hey, look, we like your idea, we see your social credit score, but for us to feel a lot more comfortable, we want to pick a manager to operate with you, underneath you, who's keeping our interests in mind. So there you go, checks and balances. And that can be all agreed upon in the contract that once again is put on like a ledger that everyone agrees upon. And there could be a stipulation saying that if the manager feels that you are putting the company at risk, they can step in and take over and blase. But we eliminated the need for huge institutions and to make it difficult to get capital. Because like I said, this might be a group of people who only have probably like a combined $2,000 to invest type of deal. Because these are millennials, they don't have a lot of money. But they want to invest into something, into this person who they feel can help grow their money.
There's also the other thing of stopping. So the Uber taxi driver, he starts, he gets the money, he starts the business, and then he does something bizarre that the investors didn't expect him to do. Like he wants to sell the business all of a sudden. He wants to quit all of a sudden for some reason, and that could cause trouble. So how do you solve that one?
So I was thinking about that today too. So like you have like third party like programs, or I don't know. So for example, if I have a website and I want to accept payments, I will use like Braintree to handle the payments and whatever. So a similar application can be made. So whenever I make money, you would know. It will signal, hey, this guy made money, so it automatically pays out whatever dividends we agreed upon. So you know what I'm saying? So then if I decide to sell or change the business, it would notify. So using
Yeah, but if he sells the business to somebody else, then you have to go through the whole train again of figuring out whether the new owner is as good as the previous guy was. And, you know, and you've got the investors have no control over what this guy's doing. You know?
That's what the contract. So you
Right.
decide all in the
Right.
contract on what, if you decide to sell, you need to offer us a buyout first.
Right.
So same thing what big corporations do with stuff like that. There needs to be check and balance. So if you decide to sell, because if you break the contract, we have this to go to court with, type of deal. So yeah, that's what everyone will agree upon and say, hey, look, this is the contract. It's here. We see it, and you broke that, so now we have grounds to sue you or whatnot.
Well, who's going to write a contract for for somebody who's only got 2 cents ownership in anything? You're going to want to commit the rest of your life, the next 5 years of your life, to this guy who's only got 2% ownership in your thing. You're going to tell him to go screw himself. If he demands, I'm only going to invest 2 cents if you stick it out with the business and you do this every day, and you have to follow some rule. Nobody's going to want to do it.
Well, that's what you have.
So there's got to be a balance.
Yeah, there's balances in there. And like I said, the contract, everyone writes it down and you agree upon it. And you load it up on a ledger. There's a record that shows this is well agreed upon. This is the minimum. It's no different. Hey, I'm not going to take 2 cents in it. There's going to be a minimum with that. So, because you're right, nobody wants to spend a lot of time on 2 cents investment. But that's why you put all those stipulations in there.
I think this model could be really great for like a local.
Yeah. Everybody knows each other. Where you really know
Right,
them.
right, and even in, let's say Hebangchung, where I live in the neighborhood right here, it's like a small community, and yet everyone feels interconnected and everyone kind of knows you. And if you pitch in an idea, it might be easier for like a local business to get started. So
It would be even easier for the local mafia to run the show. They would want the blockchain too, because there's no interest. They have to go to the bank.
That's true.
Well, it's funny. I mean, the shared economy is pretty much it's platforms that they made globally, but they're used at local levels.
So I think like it'll help local businesses even more because the investors have more incentive to shop at their store or
Yeah.
help them out.
And that is a problem with small business owners. So that's a good use case. Thank you.
But wasn't the productivism the idea of connecting people from developed countries
It's
and
help.
investors from developed countries and
So it can be used at multiple levels. Like she mentioned, it may be good for the local community, but then you might have a person in America who wants to utilize this in a developed country. So that can be a use case too. So it can be local, or it can be an international person who has a kind heart. They say, look, I want to help a person in like Venezuela right now who has a hard time with their whole banking system. This person like, hey, look, I see what you got going on there. I want to try to invest in it.
If somebody gave some money to some farmer in a third world country,
Uh-huh.
suddenly that farmer has money available to them that other farmers around him don't have.
Right.
And they're going to feel there's going to be an issue of fairness. They're going to perceive this as maybe injustice. So you're going to have trouble between third world farmers, and that could cause trouble. So how are you going to deal with that?
So I don't know how to avoid capital imbalance.
Yeah. A sense of injustice on the part of these people.
We can have checks and balances installed where someone from the U.S. has to go through like a community who validates, hey, what are you trying to do here?
Well, no, that's socialism.
No, it's not so, because the government's not involved. Once again, it's a community.
Well, how has this community been established?
It's the same way like how Bitcoin has been growing. It takes time to develop. It's no different from like a website. Websites are global, and the way you build traffic is by educating people, getting them to buy into it, type of deal. It's a group. I came across an article called Pirates. They're a global community, and they now use Bitcoin as their currency among their group. I was gonna look more into that because I thought that might be useful for this, but I'll bring it up later on. So I was gonna look at their concept because they're like a global group of people, and they use Bitcoin as their currency to donate to the overall cause. So socialism is not, because we're not depending on the government to solve the problem. This is the community coming together to solve the problem as a whole.
Yeah, but that's what Marx said. We're not the state. All the people are going to work together, but it ends up being the state.
So, hey, I'll put that down. leads to socialism. Peer-to-peer, you can actually give. This is go talk about loans. So like with peer-to-peer loans, and I've done this actually. Someone comes to me, hey, I want to borrow $500. Cool, $500 plus 5% interest. That's what I give to Chris. You know, that's between me and him, and we have the blockchain to keep a record of it and whatnot. So we're not limiting interest. For example, when interest to the banks, they have to pay interest to the central banks, and then they, and then they have to put their interest on top of that.
Right.
So that's what you have, all these interests built on top of each other that everyone now has to pay to central banks and all that stuff and whatnot. So you're not eliminating interest, you're reducing, like I said, friction, you're reducing the barriers of entry for people, and hopefully reducing the amount of debt that people might end up getting themselves into.
So you're reducing the barriers to entry, but then at that point, you're increasing the risk.
No, because then you still have the social scores and all that. Hey, believe it or not, these are things, the things I'm talking about is not nothing that is not being talked about, if that makes any sense. So I feel like if governments are looking at these things, then we as citizens owe it to ourselves to look at, okay, if they're gonna do this, let's give them hey, since y'all looking at this type of as a solution for a problem, maybe let us give you some input on, hey, we don't think you like that way. So I'm a firm believer in not depending on the government to solve my problems, because when we do, you're not gonna be happy when they get you, because someone has to lose in order for them to come to a happy medium for everybody. And me being an expert, I know some people say they have an issue trying to get capital here in Korea because Korea has all these rules and stipulations. So say if you had this system right here put in place that a local community can use, so you can now invest in your local bakery and feel happy in knowing that, hey, your local bakery can stay open, and you're now gonna make a little small, make a little small profit off of it, and you can have that as like, hey, I own part of this smaller bakery, and that money's now staying within the community. Because the big institutions, capital leaves the small community, because it has to go big world. So on a small scale, like Judy mentioned, it has a lot of potential to help the local community stay alive and stay vibrant. Like you're a teacher, hey, I have $100 to invest in your bakery to keep it going. And that bakery's like, oh, thank you, we can keep it going that way. Now global scale, there's also applications, but then like everything global, it scales up. There's now these more checks and balances, like you now have like a regional type of community that validates, hey, this person wants to come and invest in our region. Let's look at their social score, let's look at other investments that they have done on the productivism community and whatnot. So now they can validate, okay, you're now cool to come into this and invest in here and whatnot. So, and I was thinking about that whole checks and balances part until today, and that's the purpose of today, is for us to take it apart, look at it, what are some things that is missing, what are some things that needs to be put in, what are some concerns, because you are bringing up very good concerns with risks, with you might not get paid or whatever.
Well, I think one of the things, I think it's the whole Bitcoin and blockchain stuff, when it comes to the money side of things, it's more likely to work in black market situations. So you can turn that that can be good. So that can be a sign that, where there's a black market, that's an opportunity for blockchain to come into action.
So what are the pros and cons of productivism? And I guess we can say that. So would you say that how to keep control?
I guess a pro of productivism, if it is successful, is that it will be able to keep money in the community instead of feeding it back to these large corporations, instead of feeding it back to the central bank, instead of feeding it back to the government. But I guess I don't know if it's a pro or a con, I guess, in regards.
No, that actually can be a pro. It keeps capital flight down, which is a big thing for certain communities. So it cuts down capital flight. That's an issue in black communities, actually.
That's also
more capital going to their local school. They can now stop sending their kids to a whole different school that's getting all this government. So that's one, I'm just trying to sum it up without being too technical with it, but that's one way that using productivism, using blockchain can help. So we're not only talking about investing in assets, we're also talking about investing in our community and how to improve that, because part of building assets and building wealth is education. And if we don't have a strong education system to bring up our kids, wealth is definitely not even attainable for the most people. Because some people do come out of it, but to make the chances higher for more joy of the kids, investing in education in our local community is important.
Just like what Hugo said, like in my community, like in the U.S., like of course there's a local high school like, near my home, but we also have this program like set by the government where to take students from the inner city.
I was one of those students. I was one of those kids. I had to go on a bus to go an hour to school because the school local wasn't that great, but I was smart to get into the better schools. So I had to travel an hour a day to go to school. That's why I'm so used to travel.
So that was my mom too.
Yeah, so that's due to the fact that capital isn't there.
Right.
So that's a pro with productivism. It can solve. But what you need to understand is how can we use it to make life better. That is the goal, and that's what my job is at the company, is to help how to get the consumer level involved with blockchain type of deal. And that's what I hope to achieve with these meetups, get you guys inputs. On the Slack group, I'm gonna include all these slides and everything else, and then on there we can also talk more about it as well, and say, hey Jay, I had this idea, boom, boom, boom. So, I don't know. So, yeah,